Good morning, YouTube. Fat Cat Collections back at you with another product review. If you're new to my channel, mainly I review watches, but I will review any product that I get and share my experience with the public. I have about 6,050 subscribers as to date, and they keep climbing, and I'm having a lot of fun sharing this product. And those of you who do subscribe to my channel and follow my content, basically, you know, I make these everyday average guy videos. I try to dumb it down, and I know I ramble on a lot, but I try to make it as simple as possible from an everyday guy's perspective on what I actually think of these products and, you know, what I buy them, would I want to keep them, etc., etc. And today, I'm going to do, this is the first video I'm going to do of a series of smart home items that I've been really kind of obsessed about for a little while now. I've been buying a lot of these different Wi-Fi enabled devices. The first one I bought was the Google Home, and I've had a great time. It's a great device. You can see it's right behind here. It's such a great device that I went ahead and my wonderful girlfriend, got me another one for Christmas for the bedroom. And I'll do another review on that. There's tons of reviews on that stuff, but I will do one at a later date. Okay, so let's talk about this device, okay? What is the Wink Relay? If you're new to smart home stuff, basically real simple, smart home stuff are items that either connected Wi-Fi to your network or through different technologies such as Z-Wave or Zigbee, which I believe are kind of short-range wireless systems, I believe similar to Bluetooth, that allow you to control lights and appliances and switches remotely from your smartphone, sometimes from a desktop software, etc., etc. So some of the devices that I have that are going to I guess relevant to this review are basically switches. This is a GE Z-Wave dimming switch, which functions just like a regular switch, but this can be controlled remotely from phone or from afar outside of your network. Okay, and then of course in the ceiling here we have cans and of course a light fixture, and these are the LifeX bulbs, and these ones are Wi-Fi bulbs. These are automatically connected to the wireless network. So these are actually configured. They know my Wi-Fi password and they connect wirelessly to the network, whereas this switch does not connect to the network. This only gets a signal from a hub. So basically a little bit about how that works. When I basically want to control these lights right now, I can do that with either an Alexa device, which I have over on the coffee table, or I can do it with the Google Home, and I can say something like this: "Hey Google, turn off the living room lights."
You got it. Turning 2 lights off.
So there you go. So that one's, now because I have this program as living room as a room, it's only going to turn off those. Under the LifeX app, I can actually do these 3 just by themselves because I have basically a macro program where I can do that. So for today's purpose of the video, let's turn those back on. Hey Google, turn on the living room lights.
You got it. Turning 2 lights on.
And there you go. So, and I'll do another video on how all that interacts and works. So basically what happens is when I use this device, whether it be the voice control Google device or my phone to actually, you know, press the device, it sends a signal through the wireless network, it gets to the router, and that's distributed through wireless, through the router, to the LifeX bulbs. The difference is with this one, the other one here, and I'm going to show you this one here, I'm going to demonstrate. Now, again, I will get back to the Wink Relay. That's what the video is about, but it's important to kind of know what my goal was in trying to make all this stuff work and what, you know, whether I'm going to keep this device or not, okay? It's going to be a long video, so feel free to fast forward if you need to, but there is a lot of information here. So now I'm going to say this. Hey, Google, turn off the living room track lighting.
You got it. Turning the living room track lighting off.
Okay, so there you go. So what happened there, I used my voice through the Google, or you could have done it through the SmartThings app on the phone. I'll tell you a little bit about that in a second. And what happens is that signal came through the Google, it went through the Wi-Fi network, and what happens in this case, the router did not communicate that information to this particular switch. What happens is that information went through the Wi-Fi network, through the hardline Ethernet cable to what's called the Samsung SmartThing hub. There's lots of brands out there. I have the Samsung SmartThings hub. And what happens is then the hub sends a Z-Wave signal to this switch to either turn on, dim, etc., etc., okay? So what does that mean for the Wink? The Wink Relay is supposed to be a wall-mounted, built-in hub, okay, that allows you to have, and I'll just show you what it looks like. It's got 2 buttons, a screen, a 4.3-inch screen, touch screen, and it runs on the Android system, okay? And you can see right now it just booted up, and because I put the wall plate back on, and it wants me to log in. So you have to sign up with Wink. Really simple. Really, you can do it right from here. The keyboard in this is very sensitive. It works very well. And I am signed up, but I'm not going to log in because I have to show you something else here today. Okay. And basically what happens is you will boot up to a menu that looks like this, and then you can go ahead and add your devices. Now, I bought this because I wanted something wall-mounted, whereas if you didn't want to actually use your voice or you didn't have your cell phone handy, you could just go right over and control it like a standard switch, okay? Like you would this switch over here. See, that's the problem with the LIFX bulbs. The switch has to be on all the time for these to work, and they only work with the app or with voice command, where the Z-Wave switches will actually, you still have a functional switch. So that's the advantage to the Z-Wave switches and the Zigbee switches. However, the LIFX bulbs do way more. You can control the color to 16 million colors. You can do, if you put on some music, they'll flash. They're animated. You can do, the sky's the limit on what these things can do as far as color combinations. I mean, you can hit millions of colors of whites, cool whites. You can set the Kelvin temperature. So they do a lot more, whereas this, all it really does is turn on your fixture on, off, and dim, and you can do it remotely with both, though, okay? That's the common denominator there. So that's why I wanted this, because I want something that will be able to control everything. In the event I didn't have my cell phone on me, or my girlfriend, she doesn't have these apps on her phone. She just has, the only way she can turn on these lights, naturally the Z-Wave switch she can just turn on, but the other ones, the LIFX bulbs, you have to do it with voice because she doesn't have the app, okay? And so I want so she can just come over, boom, hit the button, turn it on. Kind of like the Smart Things app that they have. And if you've never used Smart Things, basically it's an app that app links up with your Smart Things hub. And that's nice because the Smart Things hub will actually work with Z-Wave, Zigbee, which is another type of switch, and the LIFX bulb. So it's got a huge list of compatible devices. So I read online that this thing had the same. However, it does not. I read that it's compatible with Wi-Fi devices. It's really not. And what this thing does, basically, it does very little. It's very limited to what it actually can control, unless, from what I've read, you buy the Wink hub, just like the Samsung hub. Now, this is something if I was, before I had the Samsung hub and before I had the Switch and the LIFX bulbs, maybe I would have considered going with just the Wink stuff, but it seems like it's almost proprietary that you have to use their devices. And again, it will work with different brands, but if just having this alone does not work with many. Like, it'll work with Nest thermostat, but for me, it's pointless because I have my thermostat right here. So what am I going to come over here to adjust the thermostat when I have it right here? Doesn't make any sense. So a little bit more about it here. You have two switches. This basically can be hooked up to a single gang or dual gang box. So it basically means a single switch or a dual switch, okay? And it'll cover the dual switch or the single. It is kind of nice in the fact that you can put it on a single switch and still have the functionality of one of the switches. So in this case, I have it hooked up to my kitchen light. So go ahead and press that button. It turns on the kitchen light. You can also do that with the app, but it doesn't make any sense because you have a switch right here. This has a proximity sensor, which is kind of cool. So when you walk up to it, it comes on. I thought this was going to have a lot of cool apps you could use. Unfortunately, all it does is have weather, temperature, and humidity and time. And that's really it. And so I thought I was going to get a lot more with it because it sounded like it's something that had a lot of different apps and a lot of functionality. Not to say it's not a bad device, but for the price of $140, for me, it's just not worth keeping. Especially when I always have my cell phone and I have other means to turn all these things on or off. Other negative thing I have to say about it is that you don't have dimming capability with it, which I think is really stupid. I mean, most of these smart switches all have dimming capability. Positive note, once you buy this, whatever you have hooked up to it as far as hardline for your existing switch, it does make it a smart switch, which you can access with the Wink app on your phone. So if I want to turn this light on, I can go into my phone, press the Wink button, turn it on or off remotely as well. And I believe Alexa will actually allow me to do that as well, okay? But again, for me, it's not really a big selling feature. I think it was kind of cool if you want to convert a switch to a wall switch and have something like this, but it's just something that for me that doesn't really have a lot of function. Okay, so anyway, moving on. So in this case, I have it hooked up to a single switch, okay? So this other button here, you can actually program to control certain devices, okay? So when I got it, I thought I was going to be able to program to control, the kitchen light and maybe the living room lights with one button press. But unfortunately, because none of my devices are compatible with this, I can't do any of those things. All I really have here is a fancy screen and a wall switch and temperature, which to me is just kind of not worth the money. Now, I did pay $69 for this, and it is on sale at plenty of the eBay and all those sites. I'll put a link in the description if you want to pick one up. I'm not saying it's a bad device. I'm just saying that it doesn't have a lot of the features I thought it had. The other thing about it, which is kind of cool, I was going to put one in the bedroom, and having one here and in the bedroom, it has an intercom feature, so you could actually communicate upstairs or somewhere else in your house. So that's a kind of a cool feature. I didn't mention also this is connected wirelessly to the network, so naturally, like I said, you do make whatever you hook up to it a Wi-Fi enabled switch, and this thing does allow you to do a few different things. If you had a Nest thermostat, it would communicate with that. It would be kind of cool to have one upstairs, and if I had a smart thermostat, I could adjust the temperature from upstairs. However, I always have my phone with me. So really, it is kind of redundant. It's like having your cell phone on the wall for the most part with a lot less features and no apps. So for me, it's just not something I want to spend $70 on because it's just not going to serve any purpose for me. Now, the other part about it, which is, what else? Which is kind of cool is that, again, if you have a single application like this, there's mounting plates I'll show you on the back that allow you to mount this in 3 different locations. So you can have it all the way over, centered. In this case, I have it all the way over to line up with the thermostat, which it actually looks appealing to the eye. It is a nice looking device. However, just doesn't have a lot of features. I thought it was going to have a lot of apps. It really doesn't have much at all. If you don't have devices that are compatible with this device, and it's very, very limited on what's compatible, you're going to need the Wink hub to go with it. And that's about another $99. And I don't have the Wink hub, and I'm not willing to spend the money because I already have the Samsung hub. And I just don't think that this is going to be something that I would really use all that much, other than having the cool factor of like, wow, that's cool. Especially when right here, plenty of people have old cell phones and old tablets. You can get wall-mounted brackets, and you can get I found one on eBay. It's an in-wall bracket, which actually flush mounts an iPad. And that's what I want to do, because the iPad, you can just come over to it, press the app you want, and have all the control of all your devices, regardless of who makes them. So that's my 2 cents on this device, okay? What else about it? Not too much else about the device, other than the fact that I will be returning it. Now, here's where you hackers out there, people who like to tinker, can maybe have this be useful for you. For me, again, I'm going to wall mount an iPad. But what you can do with it is, because it runs off Android, and this is something I wish they would have done. 2 things I wish they would have done was make this thing to just boot up to Android, put a home screen button on it, which I'll demonstrate in a second, and have these things the capability of being able to dim. It doesn't make any sense that you can't dim the switches. I like to be able to dim my lights, and most people do. So let's move on. So what I'm going to show you now is, what I've done is this has already been configured and connected to my network. And what will happen is, once you have something like this, if you want to do what I'm going to show you, you'll have to basically reset the device fresh out of the box. Don't do any updates or anything like that. What I did is I signed up, logged in. Once you do that, you can't get into the menu I'm going to show you. But there is a way to recover the device by holding your top button, and there's a little hidden button underneath there where it'll take you to a factory reset menu, and basically gives you your select and scroll buttons to go through that menu. And I'll show you that in a little bit here. So this is going to be a pretty long video. So first, let's start with how you get into the Android operating system, okay? And you could actually do this and have it be functional and use it. It just is a little clunky. So what you want to do, one gentleman did this video and he was mistaken. He said this was a button. This is not a button. This is a proximity sensor. And this only works if you have a fresh install of Wink. What I had to do is sign up and do all that stuff, and then I reset the device where it boots up to this, and it allows you to connect to your network. So you have to connect it to your network first. Once you do that, you stop. Then you do this. You put your finger, you cover up the proximity sensor, you hold the lower switch button, and it can take up to 45 seconds. And what you'll see is the device you have wired to this, you'll see it in a second here. If it doesn't work the first time, you might have to do it again. So you see it didn't work. So we're just going to do it again. I might not have had my thumb all the way to the proximity sensor. So there it goes. So did it again. The lights flashed, and what happened is it took us into the Android operating system that it has on here. I'm not sure which version it has. I think it's Marshmallow, but I'm not 100% sure. So basically, it looks like a cell phone. And this is where the device could have been really cool if it booted up to something like this, where you could do what you wanted with it. But unfortunately, you have to go through that process to get it to do that. Now, the thing, unless it loses power or you reboot it, it's not going to go out of your Android operating system. So this might be something for you guys who don't mind having to go through that process to get back into the system. It might work for you. Now, here's the other part about it, which kind of sucks, okay? I'm just going to show you a couple apps. And you can change the screen and all that stuff, and that's really great. So we're just going to go to the home button here. And it's going to take you to the apps I've installed here. Now, this is what I've done with it. I went ahead and installed 2 two apps, MeShare and SmartThings. I could install the LifeX app too if I wanted to, but I didn't bother to do it because I am going to be returning it because, again, for me, I don't really need to have this on the wall when I have this in my hand basically all the time. So it just, again, it's just not worth the money. If it was $30, I would definitely keep it. And maybe Wink will go ahead and send me some more of their products for more review. Maybe they'll throw in a couple. As of right now, I bought this device because I'm waiting back to hear from them. I would like to outfit my house with any devices that a company is willing to give me a discount on. I just want to give a quick shout out to LifeX. They were able to give me a discount for my review channel on all the LifeX bulbs, and so that's why I bought 6 of them. They're normally about $50 a piece. They're wonderful, and I will be doing a review on those as well. But for this, not getting a discount on it for the purpose of review, I'll wait till maybe they give me that, and maybe I will get this again, but not for $70. Okay, so let's move on. Okay, I'm rambling on here. Here we go. So now we're in the Android operating system. So I'm just going to go ahead and press now I haven't tried, that's the Wink Relay app also, okay? But we won't do that. We'll just go SmartThings, okay? Now for you guys who have a SmartThings hub or whatever brand you have, this is something maybe you can use with this. What'll happen is it's going to open that up and it's going to go to my home. Now hopefully we're still connected to Wi-Fi. And that was the other negative thing I had to say about it. I have a really solid router in this house. I have a ASUS AC3200 tri-band router. This baby blasts my signal like up the street, for God's sakes. And this thing drops signal quite a bit and is pretty unreliable. And let's see if we're connected. So it looks like we are. And what you have here is you have the devices I've already programmed into the SmartThings app with my hub. You can see I have the different rooms and different things. And you can just press the button here. And we'll just press one here. I'll go ahead and turn on the living room, off the living room can. You press the button, it executes the command, and we'll go ahead and turn that back on again. So this is something that kind of functions for how I hoped it would, where I could just have this open and just use what I want to use on it. And my girlfriend, my lovely girlfriend, can come over. If you want to turn on a light, she can just open it up and do what I basically just did. Now, here's the other problem with it. This is all fine and dandy if, I want to keep this and just leave it like that. The problem with it is, again, $70, and I have this in my hand already, so I don't really need to have this wall mounted. However, let's go ahead for a second and just, let's say we want to go back to a different app. Well, the problem is there is no home button on this. So if you go even into a settings menu, you can't go back. Once you go ahead, let's say I just want to go into a different, I can't, basically, long story, again, you know what I'm saying, I can't go back. There's no back button. So what I have to do, I have to, again, cover the proximity sensor. And this is how you guys will have to do it. You want to go home, you press and hold it again, and what will happen, and again, this is the clunky part of it. If they just would have put a home button on it and made it, a little more compatible with devices, I would definitely keep it. So we got to wait. Doesn't always work. Let's do it again. Probably work this time. No, we're just going to wait and hold. There it goes. Okay, so now we're back home. So then we go into a different app. So now I'm going to show you another app I put on here. And this one's, I have a Zomato's security system here, and they use MeShare as their viewing app. So I'll go ahead and click MeShare. And this is another cool feature about it. That you can at least do this. So I've downloaded the MeShare app, and then naturally I can just go to my different recorders, and I can just go live camera. And in this case, we'll just go with my driveway, and here you go. You have the driveway, and this works just like your cell phone. I can take a picture if I wanted to. I can hit the high definition button. I can view events. That basically, if you're unfamiliar with, I'll do another review on this one too. Most of these home surveillance systems will send you alerts if they detect motion. So for instance, if a car drives by right now, I will get an alert on my phone that the camera detected motion, and this will actually make a sound that it detected motion as well. And I can scroll through my different cameras here, click them if I want to. I got my front door cam, which is kind of nice because you can actually leave this on if you want to. And I actually thought about putting this near the front door and just using it for that purpose, of just having it just to leave it on. Oh, that's not my front door. What am I doing? There you go. We're going to load up the front door here. And there you go. There's my front door. So that's kind of the coolest thing about it. You can just use it as a secure surveillance switch, basically. But it's unfortunate you have to go ahead and go back and do that clunky kind of system there in order to view the cam. And really, I mean, for me, if somebody knocks on my door, I can very quickly just go ahead and check the NVR monitor, or just pull up the app on my phone and look. So okay, so you hear the noise? So that means it detected motion and it alerted me there. So we can go back here. Oops, sorry. I know it's hard. I'm sure I'm going to get plenty of comments about how this video sucks, but oh well. I'm giving you the information. Go back to events, and we can go ahead and see the logs and see it detected motion here. And you can go ahead and press this, and it's going to show you 5 pictures of whatever it detected. So in this case, it just detected the change in the brightness. You do get a lot of false alerts with this thing because I have it set to very sensitive. So in a nutshell, that's this device. Now, definitely not a bad device. I think it's pretty cool, really. I just wish it did more. And maybe later on down the road, newer versions will come out where they will do more. However, the fact that they were $140 and they dropped to $69 tells me it might not be a big seller for them. I will say I am really into having the cool wow factor in my home. And I will say I do have reservations about returning the device just because, you know, I do think it's kind of cool, and I do think it's an interesting device. However, for right now, at this point in my life, spending $70, I'd much rather put the money towards a new sink, and we're going to go buy that today. So I can't really rationalize the price. And it really doesn't always come down to the money. It really just comes down to, is it something I'm going to use or not? And it's just not something I'm going to use. I mean, but it might be something that you will use, and it doesn't mean that because it's something that, you know, isn't really going to work for my purposes that you shouldn't get it. I think it's a very interesting device. I hope that, let me get a sip of coffee here, more people come out with devices like this. But I guess Wink, a couple improvements would be have this baby boot up to a, maybe not a Wink app that's very limitless, but boot up to an operating system, or give people the option to do that if they want to, because you can still go home and access the Wink app if you want to. So I just don't know why they, you know, had it boot up just to their app. Also, again, guys, when you do what I'm doing here, you lose the ability of the proximity sensor. That no longer works when you're in this Android system. So if you walk up to it, you're basically going to have to control what it does through your settings, okay, just like you would a phone. I don't know how long it'll time out, and I haven't really experimented that far with it because I am going to return it today. So a little bit about, too, the install. So what I'm going to do now, okay, because I told you a lot about it, give you a lot of information, let's go ahead and do a hard reset to it, a factory reset, because that's what I want to do. I want to get my information off of it so I can return it. So what we're going to do here, and I have to, if I remember correctly, let's go ahead and try this here. So I'm just going to get a toothpick, okay, and just kind of bear with me here. I'm going to try to prop this up if I can. Maybe we can see me doing this. Again, guys, I am not a professional filmer, if that's the right word here. Okay, so I think you guys can see that. Let me take a quick peek. All right, so what I'm going to do is there is a button underneath here. I'm going to move the picture frame out of the way. Right underneath here, okay? It's a very small button. It's a reset button. And what you do is you just press the top button, and you just press that button. Oh, and one more thing I failed to mention before I do this. You cannot download apps of this through the Google Play Store. You have to do it directly with the APK. And that's basically like a compressed file, basically. What you do is you just go to their web browser, which is on the menu once you get in there. Google whatever app you want. In my case, it was MeShare or SmartThings APK. You'll find a download link. It downloads. Then you just install it. And anybody who's never done, and you have to turn on developer options in the menu. It'll ask if you want to do that. It'll basically give you a warning message. This is not safe. This is coming from a source that's unknown. If you know the app, it's safe to go ahead and do that. You can always factory reset it. So you're safe with the main players out there, who are making these apps that are safe. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go ahead and execute here. I'm gonna press and hold that button. And if I can find it, I'm going to press the switch here. A little tough to do at this angle. There we go. I found it. I pressed it. I'm going to hold it. And what it should do, hopefully. Oh, maybe I wasn't pressing it. Nope, I wasn't pressing it. There it is. There we go. Got it. Okay. Press and hold. Hopefully I'm doing this right. Now I've never done this from this menu before, so it might be something you have to do without being in Android, but we'll give it a try. We'll see what we can do. We'll just try. We'll work together and get through this thing here. So it looks like it's something that it won't allow you to reset it when you're in Android. So let's just do something real easy here. We're just going to power cycle. So what you do is you pop the bottom, pop it off the wall. I'm going to clip it back in here, and I'll show you what it looks like too. And I'm going to walk you guys through the uninstall process, which is exactly going to be obviously reverse for when you do get this and install it. So what it's going to do now, it's going to boot up. So again, guys, it's going to be a really long video, but it is booting up right now. Yeah, I think I'm going to try doing it right now. So I'm going to press and hold here. Again, the button's really small. So we're at the boot up menu here. Here, I'll show you. We're at the Wink login screen. And again, if you wanted to go back into the Android, what you would do is just go ahead and do what I showed you before. Cover the proximity sensor and hold that lower switch till the lights flash. And let's try this again here. God, this thing's really hard to find. There it is. Nope, it's not there. There we go. Okay, I got it. Pressed it. We're going to hold it. And release. Let's see if this works. Okay, it's the menu screen's flashing. Okay, so here we are. So now we are in the system recovery menu, okay? So what we're going to do is we're just going to scroll down here. We're going to wipe, let's see here, you can reboot, you can apply an update from whatever, and we're going to just reset factory image. So let's go ahead and wipe the cache partition here, and now you just enter. Okay, it's doing that. Okay, so now we're gonna reset it to factory image. So press that. Nope. Oh, let's go. Oh, sorry. Oh, sorry. Excuse me. Wipe data factory reset. Press that. So, looks like it's doing its thing. Hopefully we did that. Let me make sure. Let me just make sure you don't press and hold. So let's reboot the system now. We'll see if that did the trick. Hopefully. So you go with the error notification. And let's see what happens here. So while this is doing its thing here, I am just going to just put you down for a second here. And I'm going to refill my coffee here, okay? So we're booting back up right now at the moment. Take a couple seconds here, so bear with me. And let's see what we got going on here. Okay, so it has booted back up. And just to verify that this has been factory reset, what I want to do, I'm going to go back in here and I'm going to go back into the Android menu. And hopefully we did wipe this thing clean. Go ahead and press and cover the proximity sensor and hold the lower button. It seems like with this device, it never does it the first time. It seems like you gotta do it for 45 seconds, roughly. Oh, there it goes. So it did its thing, and now we're back into the Android operating system. Let's see if the apps are gone. Hopefully they are. And so the apps are not gone. So that's unfortunate because in order for you to actually reset this thing, you probably have to do it through. And what you're doing is you're resetting the information, I guess, in their program that boots up. So let's see what they have for settings here. Because if you want to return, you want to be able to wipe it clean here. So let's see here. Display, sound, backup and reset, factory data reset, reset tablet, erase everything. So let's see what it does. So that's good information. I just learned something new myself. If you get this and you're not happy with it, you want to go ahead and get rid of your information, your Wi-Fi credentials, your whatever accounts, your Facebook, whatever you put in there before you go returning it to somebody who probably might do the same thing that I'm showing you how to do right now. So let's see what it does here. While that's doing that, let's go to the kitchen. We'll get a cup of coffee here. All right, looks like we're booting back up. Going to the Wink Relay menu. I think that for somebody who probably really knows their way around Android, could probably do a lot with this. Me, myself, I know how to do, how to install things that are not part of the Google Play Store. I know how to do basic stuff like that. For a real egghead who really knows their way around Android, who might be a programmer or whatever, you might be able to get this thing to boot up to whatever you want it with your own bootloader, and like I said, they're not going anywhere. They're probably going to keep making them. And it's probably something you can get, or I can get at a later date if I decide, I really like that device, and this guy's done this. But right now, unfortunately, from my research, okay, so there you go. So it's booted up. It's recognized the networks, and basically what we're going to do right now, we're going to take it off the wall because we are going to return this. I don't want to connect to my network. It looks like it has been factory reset, but it might be a good idea just to maybe try making sure that all my information is gone. So let's do that, okay? Give me a second here. Tell you, this video turned out to be a lot longer than I thought it was going to be. So we're going to try to connect here, get my cup of coffee while we're doing this. Oh, man. All right, let's see here. Connecting to the network. And again, another drawback, it's a little slow. So it looks like we've connected. We're back to the Wink menu. I'm going to go ahead and get into the Android operating system again. Press and hold. And you see what I mean? It just kind of sucks you have to go through this process. It's too bad you just can't get it to boot just to Android. And I just don't know why they did that. And probably for somebody who is very familiar with Android, you could probably do that and probably definitely teach me something. So it looks like we're factory reset and we're good to go. So what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to take it off the wall. So goodbye. Not to you guys, to this actual device. So now that it's off the wall, I'm going to show you a little more. This video is probably going to approach an hour. So what you get in the box, you get basically, I'll show you here. You get a screwdriver, okay, which has a bit. It's kind of something like Apple would do, I think. You get one of these devices here that comes on the bare wires. I'll show you what that is. The device, of course, and of course on the back you get these two plates. And what these do, this device has these contacts in 3 different locations. It allows you to move these plates wherever you want them and mount the device. You can see on mine, I use the far left one in order to align this device with my thermostat. So you can have it here, here, or here. In this case, I want it lined up. So that's why I did that. They pop on and off, so it comes with those. Then, of course, what you have here is what I'm going to show you on the box, and we'll be taking it out together, okay? Is you have your wall plate, and then, of course, you have your actual switch. And what that has, it has test buttons here for both those 2 switches that are on the outside of the box, right here and here. There's 2 wires in there to hook up if you were to use this on a dual box or a dual gang switch. In my case, I had a single box, so I left one of the wires blank. So the number 2 is not functional. Now, one thing I failed to mention is if you do like the Wink app and you do like the actual device by itself without hacking anything or changing anything, and you only have a single switch, I was able to use this second switch with this device and use a program called IFTT, and I'll touch base on that at a later date. IFTT is a website that's free. It allows you to register all your devices, and what happens is it allows lots of different devices to, I guess, work together. So, for instance, I have one set where I can text my girlfriend a specific phrase. When I do that, the lights in my living room will flash pink, okay? Kind of a novelty, but there's lots of other ones. It'll detect like your proximity from your phone. When it does, it'll turn up your thermostat. Tons of things you can do with it. For this particular device, it allowed me to take the second switch, okay? And when that's pressed, the signal came from this device because I registered this with IFTT, it sends that signal to IFTT, and IFTT then tells my LifeX bulbs to turn on or off. But there was a delay in it, and I just didn't, again, it just wasn't something that I found myself really going to be using all that much, because it's just too much going on for me personally. So that's why I, again, opt to return it. So, but that is something you can do if you had it on a single switch like me, or if you had compatible devices with this, you could have this control. Let's say this switch was compatible with this device. I'd be able to use this button to control the switch. Now, I wouldn't do that because they're right next to one another, but let's say I want the bedroom light to come on or an outdoor light, I could do that with this device. So that's kind of a cool feature. So now, what we're going to do is, I'm going to show you how it's installed, but I'm going to remove it, okay? So, we want to be safe. So, again, I assume no liability for you taking the risk to work on an electrical panel or box or switch. You do it at your own risk. I'm not a professional, but I'm using my own safety. So, as anytime you go doing anything with electricity, turn off the switch. Make sure the switch is turned off. So, go to your breaker box, you turn off the switch, you turn off that breaker. And in this case, I know it's turned off because this is my home. I have devices plugged in, so my picture frame's off, etc., etc. So what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to put you down for a second, and I'm just going to remove the device, okay? And really straightforward. Got my drill. And underneath here, you have test buttons here. So right now, see, I'm testing this. If this was live, you would have the kitchen light turn on. And if you had a second light, you'd press this and it would turn on. There's also a green status button here that is off. So there's no power right now. So I'm just going to take this baby out. Let me move my coffee here so I don't get sheetrock in there. That'd be a great idea. And just take it out of the box like so. And what it has, here's what it looks like. I'll give you a closer shot here in a second. And just bear with me for a second here. I'll have to put in my dimmer back in here. I won't show you how to install the dimmer again. I'm just going to take this out. Bear with me here. Now, they said in the instructions, too, to have this work, you have to have, now I'm not an electrician, so I'm not 100% sure on this, but you have to have a, what do you call it? It was in the box there. Basically, whatever the white wire is, I believe, I forget, you look it up. But you basically have to have your black, your, your hot wire, your wire that goes to your device, or I'm sorry, your appliance, or whatever you're powering. Sorry, I don't word this correctly all the time here. Alright, so basically I'm just going to show you the switch and what you're wiring in. I think it's called a neutral, I believe. Let me put this back together here. Alright, so here's what you have here. You have, go on the floor here, you basically have your neutral, which is always white in your box for the most part. Again, do it at your own risk. Always say if you're not comfortable with this stuff, hire an electrician to do it. It won't cost you that much. Then, of course, these two wires are your two different switches. In my case, it was if it was a dual box, you'd have light number 1, light number 2, whatever those switches you're replacing were. In my case, I just had to hook up to 1 because I only had 1 switch. Then, of course, your hot wire, okay? So that's basically about it. If you've put in any other switch before, if you're comfortable doing that, it's really a piece of cake to install. And that's really about it. That's really all you do. You basically, they come with these, my old switch had these right here, which are what you'll find in most boxes nowadays, or for dimmers. You basically, these are twist connections. You put the wire in there and you twist them until they're tight. This one here has these quick, this is kind of newer stuff they're using nowadays. You basically just push the wire in and it grabs the wire. So in my case, I had all my my neutrals were all together, so I'm going to twist those back together, hook in my old dimmer there. In this case, you need to have the neutral. In the instructions, it says if you don't have, and the instructions are very basic. If you're not somebody who's used to doing any kind of electrical wiring, I would definitely hire an electrician to do this. But if you are somebody who's used to doing this, it's really a piece of cake. It really is. Basically, all your neutrals come together, You know, this one here was for my kitchen light. Here's my hot wire. This one goes to light. This is the power. And basically, you know, that just goes. Sorry, this one goes to the red one goes to your device, white to your neutrals, and then of course your black wire, your hot goes to the hot wires. And that's about it. You screw it in, and it's really straightforward, really easy to install. Again, unfortunately, it just wasn't something that I will make a lot of use of. So guys, thank you very much for taking the time to watch my video. 40 minutes long. I know it was a long one, but I tried to give you as much information as I possibly could. If you have any other questions about this stuff, don't hesitate to drop a comment. I respond to comments daily. I get thousands of comments all the time. So again, have a wonderful day, folks. And as always, that would probably have helped. I tell you, I really do. Some people have messaged me before that I need a better camera. You know what? Maybe that would help if I had autofocus on. Oh, well, guys. Well, you get the gist of it. I'll just go ahead and show you again there. There they are. Sorry about that, guys. All right, very informal video, but I tried to bust this video out as fast as I could, and I gave you guys a lot of information. If you have any other questions, don't hesitate to contact me. I'll help you out any way I can. All right, guys. Thanks a lot for watching. Take care.